Hello, and welcome to Now It's My Turn, where the 50-plus woman awakens her spark and enjoys her life. I'm Lana McAra, and we're coming to you from the greater Philadelphia area today. And I'm delighted to welcome our guest. It's going to be a fun broadcast today, and I can't wait to get started. Our purpose each week is to open the door for the woman over 50 to live a life she absolutely loves. Today's 50-plus woman is vibrant, alive, filled with passion, purpose, and she's a powerful force for good in the world. And we're here to unleash that power and break through social programming because we're not half done. We're just getting started. Where each woman can actually create the life for herself based on two questions. Who am I? Who am I now in this phase of my life? Now that a lot of things are complete, all the roles, mothering, pretty much complete, the career, maybe looking at retirement, and all these different things, these constraints that we've had all these years, they're kind of fading away now. And we can ask, who am I now? Who am I now? Who is this person inside of me? What does the authentic me want? What is this person like? What's my passion? And then the second question, which I just said, what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? Because I find a lot of times women put ourselves to the side and we go in favor of what everybody else wants, what everybody else needs. And we forget to ask that question, what do I want? And I've known so many women, when I ask them that, they don't even know the answer. So it's time to just take a breath and think about it. What do I want? Because if you don't get clear on that, you're just going to end up winding around and just roaming around without any real goals, and you just will never, ever get there. So get your pen and paper, message your friends, let them know that we're here. And we're going to start off, as we always do, with our heart space meditation. So let's just settle in to the chair or wherever you may be. And just calming the mind, bringing yourself into focus and that beautiful space of clarity and calm. Breathing in, calm. Breathing out, stress. Breathing in, peace. Breathing out all the thoughts and all the things that are on your mind. We're just going to take a moment right now to join together in our heart space meditation. Bring the body to calm, the mind to calm. And now just feel your heart. Feel your heart. And let love swell up and fill your heart space. Just let the love come up. It feels so warm. It feels so nourishing, so nice. Just let love come up. And now let it fill your chest, your entire chest. Just let your entire chest fill with love. Feel that feeling. Oh, it feels so good. And then let the love swell all the way from the top of your head down to the bottoms of your feet, the ends of your fingers. Just let love fill you up, completely fill you up. It feels so comforting and comfortable. And now with another deep breath, just let the love fill the entire room, ceiling to floor, wall to wall. Just let the air fill up with your love. You can feel it just growing and it's all around you now. And now let it just fill the entire building from the roof to the basement, the outside walls, wherever you are. It might be a hotel, it might be an apartment building or a house. Just let your loving energy just swell and fill. That's right. And now let your heart energy just cover over the region, the town, the city. Just imagine your heart energy just like a wave going out, covering up all the medical facilities, the schools, the retail shops, the housing developments. You know, the HeartMath Institute has measured with instruments And a lot of times what we do in this meditation, or in this program, I should say, is imagination games. We just pretend. But this is not pretend. This is real. Your heart energy is very powerful. And when you spread it out and let it overflow, it has an effect on the region where you live. It has an effect. Crime rates go down. People's immune systems are strengthened. We need that right now. And just let your love swell out and grow and build. And then let it go all the way out to the entire continent, from sea to sea. North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia. Just fill the whole continent with your love. Let it wave out strong. You know, when we do this, your heart energy crosses mine and we connect. And you are stronger and I am stronger as we fill up the space with this loving heart energy. And we're better together than we are alone. And the healing for one becomes the healing for all. And you can feel it. You can feel the connection as you just focus in, spreading your heart energy. And now, from where you are, all the way around the globe and back again, covering the whole earth, this beautiful grid of love, lighting it up. You know, this is what it means to be. A lot of times we hear people say it's more important that you be than what you do. It's more important to be than to do. And when we are in this being space, we can emanate this wonderful, loving, healing energy. So important for the world right now. So thank you for being with us today. Thank you for joining us. Even in the recordings, your loving energy supports everyone who sees and also everyone around. That's right. Okay, let's get our guest in here. I'm excited for our guest today. Okay. Hey. Hi, Joanna. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Not my video. There we go.
There you are. You're good. Joanna Charnas spent her formative years in New York City and then in Northern California in what is now Silicon Valley. She received a BA from the Evergreen State College and earned her MSW from Boston University of Social Work. Joanna has been a social worker for over 30 years and currently works in the mental health department of a large California teaching hospital. Her first book, Living Well with Chronic Illness, evolved from her career experiences and years as a patient. Her second book, 100 Tips and Tools for Managing Chronic Illness, elaborates on the numerous methods she utilizes for maximizing health and wellness. She's a regular contributor to the HuffPost blog for over 2 years and has been published in several international websites. And she's the author of this book that I'm holding in my hand, A Movie Lover's Search for Romance. And today we're going to talk about dating when you're over 50. I love that topic. Welcome, Joanna.
Hi, nice to be here.
So what inspired you to write a whole book on this topic?
I had gotten divorced at 41, and I had what could most accurately be described as a 3-year dry spell. And then at about 43, I began to have these strange crushes, and I had already been working on my first book, and I was in the habit of just writing. So I started writing about them. And then the year I was 45, I just had this bizarre year of dating. And as a way to process it, I started writing about them. And then I would send these little essays out to friends and family, and they loved it. And the book is mostly about dating at 45, but really it's applicable to women in their 50s and 60s as well, or older. And I realized I had enough for a second book. So it just kind of happened organically and naturally. It wasn't something I planned at all.
Isn't that interesting? Because a lot of times the things that we end up doing, we didn't really start out, headed that way. I can
Yep.
so relate to it. I got a divorce at 52, hadn't dated for 30 years. The last date I had was when I was 17. And because I was dating my ex-husband for many years, 6 years before we got married. So it's a real jump to get back out there, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I remember my heart pounding after I left him. I was in my new place and I was cooking dinner or something, and all of a sudden it hit me. I'm single. I had almost a mini panic attack thinking about what that meant.
I think a lot of people just don't know what to do, but in some ways it's different than when we were younger, and in many ways it's exactly the same, but we have more skills and we know ourselves better. So if we can just kind of apply the things that we learned in our youth, if we were fortunate enough, and then remember the things that we've learned along the way and marry the two together, no pun intended, it's fine. And dating online which is what most people do, how they meet people, is its own world, but it's pretty easy to figure out how to navigate it in a way that's comfortable for you. I think for most people.
Yes, it takes a little bit of adjustment. It takes some learning
Yes.
of how to do it, because
Yes.
putting up a profile, you don't really know what to put up there about yourself. It takes a little bit of coaching maybe, or understanding that. Yeah.
I had several men help me with a basic online dating profile, and that was extremely helpful. They wanted to do it. They helped me write it. It was really sweet.
Wow, that would be a good way to do it, because then you're getting that perspective. Yeah, yeah. I've always thought it was like a job resume. I can do this, I can do that. That's not really what it is, though, is it?
No, and I had fantasized last year about writing a dating profile that said, too smart, too loud, too opinionated, too educated, too fat. See if you're interested. And actually, a few people thought that would be a great idea, but I didn't do it. But I really thought about it, just jettisoning all common sense and just saying, here are the things that make me undateable. See if you're interested.
Yeah. I've had so many when I was on the online dating. I was like off and on and off and on. I'm not on right now, but I'm not seeing anyone either. I'm just happy. That they would, I would meet someone for the first time and they would come in and say, you actually look like your picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had men complain to me about other people, not me, and being very distressed that the photos were not recent at all. And I think obviously I would not advise writing my fantasy dating profile, but I would absolutely encourage people to be as honest as possible and have photos that look like you now. If you wear makeup, wear makeup. If you don't wear makeup, don't wear makeup. Have things that men like to see what you look like from head to toe. So have something that's head to toe, and then also just have something up close and have a variety of things that may demonstrate your interests. I traveled a lot, and so I have a lot of travel photos up. But you really want to be authentic. You don't want to be inauthentic because it's a recipe for failure. The person has to be dating who you are, not your fantasy self.
Right. Yeah, you're going to have to show up sometime. If you're going to be in a relationship, why would you want to mislead them at the beginning? That doesn't follow.
I've had this conversation with a lot of people, but for better or worse, you can change your behavior, and we're all working to be better people every day. But you really can't change who you are. So if you're too loud, you can be quieter, and if you talk too much, you can talk less. But you are still yourself, and so you want to be your authentic self in these things, because yourself is you're going to be outed anyway. You can't help it. And, I've had this happen for better or worse, where I dated people and they really were on their best behavior, and not because they were deceptive, but just because they were exhausted from the effort. Eventually they outed themselves. Their real selves was always going to come to the surface. And sometimes that's a beautiful thing. I'm dating someone now who is so loving and caring, and he's more loving and caring than I ever imagined. He gets more loving and caring as time goes by. But I've also dated the reverse, where people were very polite and kind at the beginning, and really not so much later. They for whatever reason, they became grumpy and irritable. And some women can put up with that. I can't. But it wasn't that they were deceiving me. It's just that essentially their authentic self is going to come out one way or another. All of ours are. So
yes.
Just do it up front.
Right. Just be yourself.
Decision.
Yes. One of the things I found too, which I'd love to hear you speak to this point. The first time you meet a new date, they will tell you a lot about themselves when they don't even realize that they're telling you. I dated someone, and the first thing I met, well, two different people, but I'm thinking of one in particular, who said, my daughter means the world to me. My daughter, I'm a single dad. My daughter is a freshman in college, and my whole life has been to get her raised. And now that she's in college, she's still living at home, going to a local college, but my daughter. And I dated him for 3 months, and you know what I found out? Nobody else had room. That daughter took up 100%. And I ended up leaving the relationship because there was no room for me in that space. And so later I thought, he told me that when I first met him. Yeah.
I think my mother, who's in the book that you mentioned, had many words of wisdom. And she said, men will give you their calling card, which is an old-fashioned thing for business card, but people used to have cards that just had their names on it, and hand them out when they visited. Oh, so-and-so was here to see you. Very, 19th century, early 20th century. But she said, men will give you their calling card within the first few dates. She said, listen, pay attention,
Yes.
Which is essentially what you're saying. And I think it's true. We need to pay attention.
Yes.
And not discount what they're saying. And we have to listen carefully.
Yes. Pay close attention.
Pay attention. It doesn't mean we have to be overly critical. It just means people will tell you, and we do need to listen and be respectful.
Yes.
It's not nice to ask something of somebody that they don't have to give, and they've told us that up front.
Right. Exactly. Another guy I dated said to me, his wife had passed away from cancer about a year and a half before. And he basically said, he did literally say, I don't like dating. I hate meeting new people. It's really draining to me. Why don't we just date for a while and see how we get on? And I said, okay. And then it wasn't long after that. I think I dated him about three months is kind of my point, I realized that he didn't really care who was with him. He just wanted a person. He was lonely. He just wanted anyone to go to the movie, have dinner, but it wasn't like, I love you dearly, I can't live without you, you're my one and only, he just needed company. And I wasn't ready for that. That wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I had the reverse thing happen for about 4 months this year, which is I really was just looking for a steady companion. I actually didn't care about true love at the time. And I met someone who, at least at the beginning, met all my needs. We were friendly, we were caring, we were kind, we were spending time together. It was the beginning of the pandemic, so it was very, very limited. But I did not need true love. I needed someone who I could trust, who was honest, respectful, but I didn't really care if it was true love. And after about 4 months, he said to me, I do, and so I'm breaking up with you. Now, that was not true. What he did is he just got bored with people and he dumped them, because I had been listening to his breakup stories. So that's what he said, and it was not entirely true. But if it had been, that would have been perfectly reasonable. You gave it 4 months to see if you fell in love with me. It didn't happen. That's what you wanted. I didn't care at the time. I wanted steadiness and respect and comfort and companionship and lots of things, but I really didn't care about that. But had that been honest, it would have been fine. Now it turns out it wasn't honest, but that's okay. I saw it coming. You know, he just got bored with people and dumped them. But I perfectly understood the words that were coming out of his mouth. Okay, fine.
Yes, exactly. It's just a matter of whether you match, you know, and what you both want. So yes, they will tell you. They will tell you for sure. So we've got to hear the horror story. What's the worst thing that ever happened?
You know, in terms of dating, I would say I showed up for a date. The guy, not in terms of relationships, but just in terms of dates. I have a few war stories. So the guy showed up for a date, was on his phone, said, I have to take this call, walked out and never showed up again. I had a date that was set up by a service, and we met in a hotel, which was fine because I was familiar with the hotel. They had a nice bar, they had a nice dining room. And the guy spent 5 minutes talking to me about, should we have a drink, should we have dinner? And finally I said, we should have dinner, fine. And then his table conversation was not really appropriate. Like he was talking about kitty litter as the food arrived. He ordered ribs, not a good first date. He had like ribs smeared all over him. Then I usually offer to pick up, you know, to go Dutch. He had a 5-minute conversation with me about it. And finally I said, thank you for taking me out, because I couldn't stand it any longer. But then he wouldn't pay the bill. And I kept saying, you know, I really need to leave, because by this time I wanted to tear my hair out and do some primal screaming in my car. And finally he would not pay the bill, even though the waitress walked by us several times. And finally I just got up and said, you know, I'm terribly sorry, but I really have to go. And I left him holding the bill, which we had debated whether or not I should go Dutch about for 5 minutes. I was just like, he was a sweet, nice guy, but oh my God, I just wanted to scream by the time it was over. Just say thank you for offering. Yes, I'd love to go Dutch, or no, I won't. We don't need a 5-minute conversation while I watch you, you know, take the ribs off your face.
Yeah.
It was just god awful, and he didn't do anything awful. It was just such a bad fit. It was a hideous bad fit. It was 30 years ago, and I still cringe at it. I've had a few blind dates where I really just could not stand to be with them more than 20 minutes. And I just like, once or twice, I just said, so nice to meet you, bye, thank you, because I just couldn't stand it. But no one who's ever done anything phenomenally rude or boorish, or I had one person who did something dangerous, but I managed to keep myself safe. But really just like, oh my God, I cannot stand to talk to you for one more minute. I need to end this. And I felt bad, you know, that they'd gone out, but 20 minutes was like enough.
Yeah.
And I really make it a habit never after that to have dinner with somebody on the first date without knowing them. I will never do that again.
Right, because it's too long.
It's too long. And if it's a bad fit, God help you both.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. It's amazing, isn't it? Because the way we connect with people is so different. Some people, you talk to them for 5-10 minutes and you have nothing else to say. And other people, you can talk for 5 hours and you're so engrossed in the conversation that it just seems so natural just to, oh, you want to go walk on the beach? You want to go get, you know, and you're like, yeah, because we're not done talking. We're having a good time. So, yeah, it's really interesting how, and you can't tell that by profiles and even telephone conversations.
Really can't. You really can't. You really have to be face to face with a person.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what advice would you give to someone, you know, of a certain age getting into this?
First of all, be safe. So I never have first dates that are going to start or end when it's dark. I try to meet people in very public places like coffee shops, although you can't go into coffee shops in my area now, but very public places where they can get safely in and out of their car should the person be aggressive, which I've had happen once. And the main thing I would say is trust your instincts. Your instincts are going to be correct. Don't talk yourself into or out of anything. Trust your instincts. And there are, I think, 8 pieces of advice in the back of the book. Very specific. which
I've got it
are actually
marked.
good for anybody at any age.
Yes, yes. I actually marked this page because I thought this was so so appropriate. Number 2 is stay away from moody men.
Yeah, you know, unless you groove on that, you know, or unless they're a genius and you're willing to put up with it. You know, if you want to date Picasso and it's worth it because he's Picasso, Picasso is very moody. Like, okay, I get that. You know, you're dating a genius or somebody else that's, you know, but generally speaking, stay away from moody men. They're not going to get more cheerful in your presence or more pleasant.
Well, you just made a really good point. It's not going to get any better. If you are dating someone the first, second, third time and they're already annoying or something, it's not going to get any better.
Not going to get better. They're not going to change. If they say, oh, I'm stressed out by work, don't believe them. That's how they handle stress, period.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the family dramas. You know, my daughter just called me and she's got la 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 going on and it's got me so stressed out. Well, you know what? If you get in a relationship with that guy, you're going to be living with his daughter.
Yeah, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And people may apologize and say, oh, it's circumstantial. It's my daughter's having a crisis, my dog's having a crisis, it was a bad day at work. Don't believe them. They're just trying to put their best foot forward. That's how they handle stress, period.
Mm-hmm.
What you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. Because one of the challenges that I found with dating at this place in the life, when we were younger, we didn't have kids and stepkids and all this exes and all these other things. But as mature people now, we have a whole family dynamic.
Right.
And our family dynamic, at least you could be comfortable with their family. You don't have to love them and cozy up to them, but at least they don't make you feel like pulling your hair out and run screaming to the car.
Yeah. Yeah. If really there's not a good fit with the family, that's going to be problematic as well. Unless you're willing to make some very hard decisions, or at least they are. You know, you're of a different race, they're racist, or a different religion, and they're willing to in some way make that break. But for the most part, barring some very specific exceptions, you're going to have to at least be polite to their family and be cordial.
Right, and feel comfortable, like safe yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I dated a guy that his kids were horrible. They were rude, demanding. They were creating all kinds of drama, keeping him always on edge. And you know, even though he and I got along fine, I could not tolerate this constant barrage of, you know, the crying phone calls and the demands. You know, that would his daughter would call him with demands, complaining about her son.
It's a lot to take on.
Yeah, right. You're taking this on as a project.
I wouldn't do it either.
No. There's no win. There's no win in that game because you're an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
And all you're going to be able to do is try to navigate that. You're not going to change it.
You know, I also caution in that list of suggestions, people who aren't over their exes, you know, and obviously there are exceptions to this, but if people are still grieving deeply, enraged, which happens a lot of divorce, talking about their exes constantly, they're not over them yet. And it's going to pull all the joy out of your relationship with them.
Yeah.
I once made that mistake and I was just young and stupid and I didn't know any better. But either you need to be able to set limits and boundaries and say, you know, hon, I know that you're still experiencing this, but I can't really share it with you day after day. Mm-hmm. Or they're not the right person for you. You know, if someone is emotionally still in another relationship, even if they're physically out of it, they can't fully engage with you. And again, there's some notable exceptions to that. But I think as in general, I think that if people are not fundamentally over their exes in a big way, then probably not the right fit either.
Right, exactly. There's a lot of energy going in that direction. And you want to have your relationship to be, you know, contained, not be pulling over. And the same thing goes for us. You know, if we are out in the dating world when we're still furious at our ex and not doing that inner work too, you know, maybe it's time to take a break and go do the work and then go back. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I have to make a couple of announcements here and then we'll come back. I have a book out on Amazon. It's called Never Date a Narcissist Again, because I was attracting them one after the other, after the other, after the other. It's one of the reasons I got off the dating sites. I was so sick of it. I'm like, not going to do it again. And I really went in and did the work and found out why I was attracting narcissists. Now, not just in dating, I was attracting them as my landlord was a narcissist, my boss, I even had coaches that were narcissistic. And so to understand what it is in our energy, in our approach, and how we present ourselves that attracts these kind of people, and then how to break it and not do it anymore, and even to be able to do that without confronting them. So that's in the book. It's on Kindle, $2.99, so available. And it's called Never Date a Narcissist Again. Just go over and do a search and you can find it over there. Also, be sure to join the Facebook group, nowitsmyturn.com on Facebook. If you type in nowitsmyturn.com, you'll just go right over there. We're there all week. We're only here on YouTube one day a week on Friday afternoon. So come over there and join us. We've got a really great group of gals over there. And then my daughter and I are starting a collective healing circle. We're calling it the Collective Healing Channel, and it is for small groups to come together to do healing meditations together, and we'll heal each other in that wonderful space together. So if you're interested in that, go to lanamcara.com and click on the tab that says Collective. lanamcara.com, Collective, and it's also in the description box below. Joanna, what would you say if someone has been having bad experience after bad experience and they just are like at the end of their rope, they don't know what to do? What advice would you give them?
First of all, I would not blame themselves. The world is a complicated place. It was before COVID and it is now. Dating is complicated. So I think I would advise them to do what you did, which is not beat themselves up, not blame themselves, but maybe seek some professional help to see if there's some patterns that they're unaware of, that they're repeating, and see if they can figure that out and change their behavior. Because sometimes we're not aware of the things that we're doing. We're not doing them purposefully or mindfully. And if you really feel stuck, go get professional help. Take a good hard look at yourself and say, well, what's happening here? Just as it sounds like you did.
Yes, exactly. And one of the things I found in that space is that the part of me I was presenting in the date was attracting the part of the other person that I didn't want. My loving self wasn't showing up. My anxious self, my insecure self was showing up. And so then the other person was responding in a way, might have been a terrific guy, but because of the way I was approaching.
Yeah, so I want to really stress, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It just means that something is happening in the dating interaction that isn't working for you.
Yeah.
And so you need to figure that out so that you can tweak it.
Right. That's a good way to put it. So you can tweak it. Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes we need an objective other to help us, a trained objective other.
Yes, a third party, unattached to anything.
And uninvested in the outcome besides our welfare, our general welfare.
Right. A coach, a counselor, someone like that.
Therapist.
Yes. So tell us a little bit more about how to get the book and what you're doing.
So A Movie Lover's Search for Romance is available at barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, target.com, I think, walmart.com, whatever shopping portal you like to use for books. It's in paperback. I don't know how much it costs. You can look on the back, I think $19. You can get it on Kindle for $6 or $7. You know, I had been writing about health or wellness, and it was so nice to write about something that was fun. So the book is called A Movie Lover's Search for Romance because it is about mostly 1 year of dating, but it's also about my ongoing love affair with film. So there's lots of movie references in it. The book is very serious, but not written in a serious manner. It's lighthearted. People have told me that they laughed and they cried while reading it, which I really enjoyed. And for me, it was particularly poignant to put something out in the world during the pandemic that was lightening people's load. It's a quick, easy read. It's not dumbed down, but it's not hard to read either. And people have really loved it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's been delightful.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.